afternoon. A very warm welcome to ETCIO presents ETStudios Digital Campus Season 3, powered by NeoSoft. I'm your host Divina Lasson, and as we stand on the cusp of a new wave in enterprise automation, AI agents are no longer limited to assisting. They're beginning to act independently, to make decisions and drive outcomes across complex IT environments. So in this session, we'll explore what it truly means to adopt autonomous AI in the enterprise, how CIOs are preparing for it, and how partners like NeoSoft are making this transition practical, secure, and scalable. Without further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome our guest today, Saumil Shah, Associate Vice President, Sales, NeoSoft, and Vrijesh Nagathan, CIDTO, Marico. Thank you for being here today on ETStudios. It's such a pleasure to have you both.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's absolutely a pleasure to be here as well.
Thank you. Thank you. So, gentlemen, we're here today to really deep dive into autonomous AI agents. Let's take a look at where the entire technology actually stands today, some challenges that organizations are facing, and by the end of the session, pave a roadmap for the way forward. So, just to kickstart, Soman, maybe you can get us started. Can you help us understand where autonomous AI agents stand in terms of the level of technology development? Of course, we're looking at task automation to decision making as the pivot. So, do you think that the technology has reached this level yet? Just a bit of an overview, and then we
Sure. So, at NeoSoft, we started the AI journey, at the very onset when the technology came in, and we were trying to understand, how that is going to be implemented at different enterprise clients as well as, various smaller organizations as well, how they can benefit from using AI. Uh, of course, it started with ChatGPT. A lot of Gen AI content started getting created, and we tried to use it creatively to enable our customers to do their customer outreach. Become a little more hyper personal. Today, I think it has taken a giant leap where we are able to give some bit of decision making power to the AI bots.
Yes, yeah.
It is not there yet, in our opinion, where it can completely replace the software developers and humans, but it's getting there. We are seeing a lot of value, by using this technology platform, where a lot of mundane tasks are being
Yeah.
kind of eliminated. Our focus has been on how do we enable our developers to embrace AI, utilize it, and have a coexistence, right? How do you upskill yourself to do much more meaningful things, and then move away from your generic tasks? So
Absolutely.
yeah, it's getting interesting.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. To take from your cue, Rajesh, to get you in on this, how do you see the role of the CIOs, anyone really connected to the direct implementation of the emerging technology? How do the CIOs need to change and pivot themselves in order to embrace the changes that's coming with autonomous AI agents, agentic AI, the entire gamut of the tech revolution we are going through?
So, definitely, it is something where at least we've been looking at it from a lot of excitement. And I read it somewhere that going forward, the overall tech department or the IT will become the HR equivalent for bots. So it was said half jokingly, but you know where it is going. So to that extent, you know the overall capabilities and the overall art of possible in terms of what can get delivered is getting severely augmented by, let's say, the bots, the agents, etc., which are there. So it is being looked at with a lot of excitement on one hand. The other hand, there's also that little bit of trepidation to say that what if it goes wrong? What if you kind of get into something where you didn't think it would happen, but it happened. So that's how it is. But I would say we are being cautiously optimistic. Yeah.
So, Somil, hearing this directly from a leader in this space, this mouth, how would you say NeoSoft is really working with various organizations to help address exactly this, that sense of trepidation, a little bit of uncertainty, so that we're trying to take the technology from experimental stage to scaling it up to really have that desired impact? how do you work with
Yeah,
organizations?
I mean, Rajesh made a very, very interesting point because that's exactly what we are hearing from everybody,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So what we have tried to do is, while we have started doing a lot of POCs, but we have tried to identify, are there real life use cases which can have an immediate impact, right? An early impact. Like in the case of Marico, right? There are, just think about this, right? When your sales, force is going out there and punching orders, can you use the agentic autonomous bots to go from that order to actually the inventory management, right? The entire journey can be covered. But again, as you rightly said, you got to be cautious, right? You can't just completely give the power to the bot. So what we are doing at NeoSoft is we are trying to identify, are there hybrid workflows that we can bring in picture, right? So while the bot does step one, two, three, can that be checked by someone and do the step four and five, and then again hand it over to the bot, right? So uh, these kind of innovations is where we feel um, that organization like Marico can take a lot of benefit out of it while being sure of what the bot is doing,
Yes.
and have complete control, at the enterprise level as well. So yeah, it's as you rightly said, you have to be cautious. You have to build in these, checks and balances to allow us to use the platform. Yeah, so
Absolutely. So, but what would you say are some of the biggest misconceptions that you're seeing organizations are facing when it comes to implementation of autonomous AI agents, Gen AI, again, the entire spectrum?
right. So see, I mean, we run a 4,000 people team. The biggest misconception is, are we going to be replaced completely?
Yes, yes, yes.
That's a fear, and you see all these news in the media that layoffs are happening, AI is coming in picture. Um, what we are doing is to alleviate these things, right? As I said, we started the AI journey very early, and right now most of our developers are doing code development with AI, right? So they are enabled. Also with enterprises, what we are doing is, while we are working with their teams, we have put in an angle of learning and development as well, right? So while we are building a workflow which is which has an AI angle to it, we are telling them how you're going to be able to upgrade yourself as well and be a part of this journey, right? So the misconception of, am I going to be replaced, is now what we are trying to do is we are trying to replace that with confidence that what, you're on top of this,
Okay.
right? So that's what we're saying.
Okay, okay, yeah, great to hear that. So, Vrijesh, again on that note, when it does come to all these factors that an organization, especially a large scale one like Marico, is taking into mind, into accountability as a risk factor, um, how would you say you're approaching dealing with the risk factors, dealing with ensuring there's all those checks and balances, the accountability in place, and how are you ensuring that your team is geared up to ensure that there is a framework around this?
Yeah. So, look, irrespective of whatever happens in terms of the tech advancement, the org risk framework will any which ways be there. How do we make sure that that is something which is incorporated for these aspects is something which we will have to do. How do you rethink your VAR or value at risk with each of these particular incidents when they go wrong? Is what you'll need to kind of really detail out. Then if you only be focused on what I would call as the happy path, then you will be caught unaware. But if you can kind of visualize what are those particular places where it can go wrong, you articulate the value at risk and be cautious about expanding it a little bit slowly at first, is how you can really look at taking it to scale. The other aspect also would be in terms of making sure that the ROI part of it is something where it is not overstated. It is something where it is realistic. That also is another lever to kind of make sure that you don't swing the pendulum too far on the other side as well.
Okay. Are there any examples or case studies you could share with us about exactly this? How the infrastructure, the framework you put around dealing with the technology, ensuring that the autonomous part of the tech is still very much managed by human intervention? Any example of how what has worked for you?
Yeah. So if we look at it, let's say even the ticket creation part of it, right? So when we went about doing it, so initially it was just kind of a menu driven one, which was there, to moving it to, let's say, a NLP based one. And then only internally within the IT part of it, we are now experimenting it by making it fully autonomous so that we eat our own dog food before we serve it to others, right? And once we start getting confidence, then you would want to kind of roll it out to some other benign part of the overall um, org setup, etc. And then you gradually start opening it up across the organization rather than try and do it all at once.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Some great advice there. Yeah. Saumil, so if you again have to kind of pull it all in together and give some kind of tips for our viewers here today on what it takes for organizations to keep in mind the AI and human collaboration ultimately. We're also looking at situations where there's business critical functions that the technology is addressing. So when we're looking at the security and safety aspect, how would you say the AI and human interaction should be best installed to mitigate any critical circumstances?
Right. So, uh, I mean, this is a very interesting question because how far do you want to really take it? How far do you want to currently take it? As he rightly said, Rajesh was making a very interesting point that can we go to the benign part first, right? Test it
Sure.
before you roll it out to business critical functions. So, if you look at all our engagements also right now, very few are at a scale where they're out in the public, right? They're out for their even the internal users. Um, it's still at a stage where people are using it in very smaller use cases are many, right? I mean, you can think of 1,000 use cases, but we are looking at implementing them at places where the impact can be measured,
Yes.
observed,
Yes. Yes.
and from those learnings, I think right now there's no framework to govern it, the way we would want to, right? So from those results, I think you'll start developing. Okay, step one, two, three,
Governance
four
process.
is what we need to have as a governance framework, and then try and implement it to business critical functions. Again, observe whether these are the right governance, factors there. Add on top of it, and hopefully at some point we come to a place where okay, now we know how to manage
Yes.
this beast,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
How do we tame it and then wield it, right? So
Yeah.
I think a cautious approach is absolutely the need of the art. But use it. I mean, we can't say right now that we don't want to be a part of this journey, right?
Sure.
It's there. It's right in front of
Mm.
us. But yeah, a step by step, baby steps is important.
How far do you think we are from having that slightly more holistic picture of the governance that's required ultimately?
Oh, I think we are at a very nascent stage right now. I don't think we can say we are even halfway through that journey. As I said, we are still most of the people are still doing POCs and doing smaller implementations. Once we do a large scale implementation, that's when we will know what's really working and what's not really working.
Sure.
So yeah, I think we're still at a very very early stage.
Yeah. Absolutely. Do you agree? Vrish, your thoughts
Yeah.
on this as well?
Yeah. So essentially, if you look at even the tech part of it, is something where it is actually, how do you say, getting uncovered or getting mature. And even if you look at the other side of affordability part of it, how do the ROI equations fit in? So all of these will take at least a couple of years to kind of converge in terms of, okay, to what extent can we actually do, or to what extent can we actually scale? Yeah, I think in a couple of years we should be in a much better space to kind of understand and deploy this, is my sense.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Before we wrap up, Brijesh, some thoughts from your perspective, from your experience of what is the impact of partnering with technology experts like NeoSoft ultimately to really help take the technology as we see it today to an enterprise scale.
Yeah, I think organizations which are focused on newer technologies, they kind of have that mental bandwidth to kind of experiment, to kind of come up with all those particular POCs, and to be able to kind of do that while the IT or parts of the organizations like ours, etc., would be focused more on, let's say, the delivery part of it, the business ROI part of it. So to that extent, it is something where they will have to work together. Yeah, absolutely.
Clear roadmap ahead. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Such a pleasure to have you here on ETStudios. Thank you for sharing all your very valuable insights and some key takeaways for our viewers here today. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.